Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I hope you are all okay. What did we talk about in our final lesson? Oh, yes, groups and their social norms. I remember we couldn't finish our discussion of this topic last week. All right, then. First of all, today we'll look at a new concept, which is peer pressure. When we talk about peer pressure, I will also talk about what peer pressure means, the types of peer pressure, reasons for peer pressure, what we can do to avoid or reduce peer pressure. Okay, let's start with the definition of peer pressure. As you all know very well, friends influence your life, even if you don't realize it, just by spending time with you. You learn from them, and they learn from you. It's only human nature to listen to and be affected by the other people in your age group. When we consider this fact, we can say that peer pressure is the influence of friends on you to do something that you do not want to do. Let's continue with the types of peer pressure. Peer pressure can be broken down into two areas: good peer pressure and bad peer pressure. Good peer pressure is being pushed into something that you didn't have the courage to do or just didn't think of doing. However, as you think about it, it seems like a good thing to do. Good peer pressure can also be a situation when your friends convince you not to do something you were going to do because it wasn't good for you. Bad pressure, on the other hand, occurs when you are caught into something that you really didn't want to do and as a result, become addicted to it. Usually, people are pushed into a situation to try illegal drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes, and quite often these behaviors can become addictive. To illustrate, the Canadian Lung Association also found that 70% of teens who smoke have friends who smoke or started smoking because of peer pressure. 70%. It is too high. You might ask yourself why people can't or don't say no to their friends or peers if peer pressure is usually more dangerous and negative than it is positive and helpful. What are the reasons for peer pressure? This is a difficult question to give a clear and definite answer to. However, there are a few points that we can make here. First of all, not all teenagers respond in the same way to peer pressure. For example, young people who are aged 11 to 14 appear to be more influenced by it than older teenagers. Younger teens are more easily influenced than older ones because they feel the need for acceptance into a group. Moreover, sex is another essential factor. For example, boys are more open to peer pressure than girls, particularly in risky situations. Girls are not influenced by peer pressure as much as boys are. Research shows that teenagers who receive little or no attention at home are the most likely group that is affected negatively by peer pressure. They try to get the attention from their friends rather than their parents. In reality, how successfully you deal with peer pressure depends a great deal on how you feel about yourself and your place in the world. However, there are certain risk factors for peer pressure, personality characteristics that make you more open and weak for peer pressure. And these are the main reasons that make it difficult to say no to your friends. Some of these risk factors can be low self-respect, lack of self-confidence, fear of isolation from friends, and poor academic abilities or performance. Do you have any questions so far? If you don't have anything to ask, I want to talk about our next point. What should you do to prepare yourself for peer pressure? I know it is hard to be the only one who says no to peer pressure, but you can do it. The first and the most useful way to reduce peer pressure is not being afraid to defend your ideas. Pay attention to your own feelings and beliefs about what is right and wrong. This can help you know the right thing to do. Know what you believe on key issues like sex, drugs, and alcohol, and do not allow anybody to make you go away from your position. Never be afraid to defend your ideas and let others know your borders. This is the most useful way to avoid peer pressure. People may laugh at you a bit at first, but most people respect the boundaries of others when they know what they are. Another thing to do is to refuse any bullying. Making other people feel bad or sad is a terrible way to try to find a place in a group. Just refuse to take part in anything that will cause harm or distress to another person and speak up if such a situation happens. You do not have to be angry or insulting, but one person defending what is right is usually enough to inspire others to follow. Finally, think of yourself as a leader and act like a leader. The more you see yourself in a leadership role, the more comfortable you will feel saying your own opinions and feelings. Remember, peer pressure can only win if you let it. If you continue to face peer pressure and you're finding it difficult to solve the problem, talk to someone that you trust. Talking to a parent or teacher can help you feel much better and prepare you for the next time you face peer pressure, because they are your strongest and most important partners in dealing with peer pressure. All in all, although there is good peer pressure, and some people think that it is necessary for teenagers to form their identity, in my opinion, peer pressure mostly damages the teenager's ability to make correct decisions and increase risk-taking behavior. As a result of this situation, teenagers lose their connections with their families and are caught into dangerous activities. Therefore, teenagers should do their best to avoid this. So, to conclude, let's quickly summarize what we have discussed today. First of all, we mentioned peer pressure. Reasons for peer pressure and how to deal with it were other items that we talked about. Then, we moved on to what teenagers can do to solve peer pressure problems. For next week's lesson, I want you to prepare a short talk about a situation in which you felt peer pressure, good or bad, and how you solved the problem. It shouldn't be a very long talk, only 3 to 5 minutes. Until next week, take care.